Will you be heading out to the theaters this week for a new Universal horror film or staying at home with Netflix with Zack Snyder? A new See It or Skip It starts right now.
See it or skip it. See it or skip it. See it or skip it.
Welcome everyone to a new See It or Skip It. Let's talk about the first movie of our segment, which is Abigail, which centers around a group of kidnappers awaiting their boss's orders while keeping their victim, a young girl with a supposedly wealthy family, tied up in her room. What the kidnappers don't realize is that their night is about to take a sharp and bloody turn in this confined story that both has a unique concept and delivers on the horror. Melissa Barrera plays our lead, and she's basically the heart of the movie. I really love her character and how she engages with all of the other cast. Dan Stevens knows exactly what type of movie he is in, much like with Godzilla x Kong, and he knows his character and how to bring out all of the good qualities of Dan Stevens into this performance. And then we have Abigail, who's played by Alicia Weir. I think she does a fantastic job at this. There's a lot to her character that she has to explore, whether it be her physicality or you're just looking into her backstory. There's a lot to be had with her. And without spoiling too much about Abigail, and really if you haven't seen anything for this film, you haven't watched any trailers, maybe go in knowing as little as possible. Not to say that having the reveal be shown in trailers is going to diminish your expectations or diminish your enthusiasm for the movie, but I do wonder if I hadn't known certain things, whether Abigail might have been more impactful. That being said, if you do want to find out more, stay till the end because we have an interview with a cast member from it. The film is set inside this one big mansion, and I think that was really good to show the claustrophobia. The mansion itself is kind of a trap. There's different trap doors. There's things happening inside that lock everybody into the house. I feel the directors executed this perfectly. The direction in this is really strong, and I do love the vibe, the tone, and setting that Abigail has. Overall, I had a really good time watching Abigail. This is a film that I think if people are looking for that mid-tier budget film and people are wondering, well, why aren't they making any mid-budget fun films that just have a lot of humor, a lot of blood, a lot of gore, and an interesting story, then Abigail is the film for you. And that's why I'm going to be giving it a See It. All right, now let's talk about Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. This is a continuation of Zack Snyder's sci-fi epic that now might be extending into 6 different films, which feels more like a threat than an exciting news bit. It again stars Sofia Boutella and delves further into the world with an enormous amount of backstory and exposition to get you through before the second half of the film goes right into action scenes and slow motion and basically everything that people that love Zack Snyder films have come to expect. I really tried to go into this film with an open mind. I mean, I'm not necessarily a Zack Snyder hater. I really loved the Justice League Snyder cut. I loved Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Cut. Man of Steel I thought was good. 300, Watchmen, both classics and staples to comic book filmography. Zack Snyder set the table in this first film to give us all of these characters. He set up so many characters in that first movie, and really nothing pays off in this film. In fact, we just get even more exposition, even more backstory, and no forward momentum into what exactly this film is. The story just cannot keep you engaged because A, it's either too referential to Star Wars, to any sci-fi space film that Zack Snyder might have seen that wanted to pay homage to with these films. All the dialogue feels exposition heavy. There's really not a lot to sink your teeth into here. And honestly, I can't give this any type of a See It recommendation. The action was so slowed down that it almost felt like you were watching them practice the fighting rather than actually seeing a fight sequence. They're all kind of pulling their punches. You could tell that they're already moving before they're about to get hit. And it takes away a lot of enthusiasm for me because I love Zack Snyder action, but for some reason, they just could not get it worked out in this movie. They set up moments that were teased in the first film that in this movie just goes nowhere. This might be the worst Zack Snyder film that I've seen. I definitely don't recommend it. If you haven't seen the first movie, you're not missing anything by watching the second part. And I hope that Netflix really looks at the idea of doing a 6-film arc with this story and reconsiders, much like what they do with the popular TV season. I'm still not over the Daredevil cancellation. And finally, we have Hard Miles. This is starring Matthew Modine. He's a social worker whose cycling vacation falls off the trail. It puts him in a youth prison with teenage convicts, and he has an idea to set them out on a cycling team to take them on a transformative 1,000-mile journey. But will they be able to make it? And that's what this film is. It's very much a team sports drama that's inspired by the life of Greg Townsend, and it really is one of those films that anybody can take with their family and have a really good time. I think Matthew Modine does a great job as a leader in helping to better the kids' lives. I think all the supporting performances measured up to his performance. It also helps that Matthew Modine is a bicyclist himself, and he goes on cycling tours, so he really knew what he was doing with his character. I do enjoy these inspiring stories, even if they kind of follow a familiar formula. All that matters is how well are you executing it, and I think the director does a really good job of executing that with Hard Miles. This may be your hidden gem for the week, and it's definitely a see it for me. Last but not least, taking it back to Abigail, here's the full interview with Alicia Weir talking about her character and some of the things she had to do to prepare for the role. Take a look.
Hey Abigail, it's so nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you too.
I wanted to ask you first, what was vampire camp like for you? Because you're doing so many things. You're doing ballet, you're also having to do a lot of physicality. What was it like for you?
It was amazing. It was so much fun. I mean, throughout the film you can see how much fun it is, and that's exactly what it was like on set. Like you said, Abigail has so much going on. She's doing stunts, she's doing ballet, and she has two different sides as well, and she's covered in blood majority of the movie. She's got teeth in, so it was definitely a ride and an experience, but every day was so crazy but so fun.
Well, and take me back to when you were first trying on Abigail's costume, makeup, the vampire teeth. What was it like when you first looked in the mirror and saw yourself?
Well, when I first looked in the mirror, we tried on the teeth and we had the makeup on and the eye contacts on and the tutu. So when I first looked in the mirror, I think I was pretty shocked. I think all these steps in the contacts make me transform into a person I don't look like. And that was so exciting to get to see that process and get to be a part of that process. But it was so much fun, and it was definitely a shock when I first looked in the mirror.
Yeah, it was really cool though. I love the contacts, and the teeth were really scary.
Yeah, they were definitely strange, and I had to go for a fitting to get them molded onto my teeth. And then when I first tried them on, they felt really strange, as they were like all around my teeth and they were spiky, and I had to get used to speaking in them for some of the dialogue scenes. So it was definitely strange putting them on at the start, and taking them off my teeth felt super weird when I would take them off after the scenes. But yeah, they definitely made, completed Abigail.
What were some of the bigger challenges that you had when you were in the role as Abigail? Was it mostly prosthetic work, or was it more in the character?
I think some of the challenges for me was probably the two sides of Abigail and that you see during the film. You see her innocent and sweet side, and then you see her, her true manipulative self. And I think the challenge for me there was, getting the contrast between the two, but also not forgetting who she really was, and that it wasn't just two completely different people, and that it still was Abigail deep down, so that when you watch the film and say you watch it again from the start, it makes sense, some of her facial expressions or her emotions, it makes sense who she really is. Of course, you wouldn't notice it when you're first watching it because it's a shock when you find out who she truly is. But I'd say that was the most challenging part to her character.
And what makes Abigail so terrifying amongst the litany of vampires that we see in Hollywood today?
I think what makes Abigail so terrifying is, of course, that she's a child, but she's been living centuries. So at the start of the film, you see this child, but then when she turns into a vampire, then you've realized that she's not actually a child and she's been living centuries. But I think for me, what I find so creepy about Abigail's character is that even when she is a vampire, she's a ballerina vampire, and no matter what she's doing, she's leaping in the air, she's pirouetting, no matter what she's doing, if she's chasing, she looks like she could do it in her sleep. And, it looks like she's been doing this forever, which she has been doing, and she's got so much experience. And I think that if I was one of the kidnappers, that's what part would be most freaky and scary to me.
Absolutely. Well, Alicia, thank you so much. You were fantastic in this role.
And that's it for the See It or Skip It. Thank you so much as always for watching. Make sure that you head over to abc4.com/See It or Skip It. You can check out more reviews, interviews, and news. I'm Patrick Beatty. We'll see you at the next review.
See it or skip it. See it or skip it. See it or skip it.